Howdy everyone, how we doing? Back for episode 7, Movement Matters. Cabell Jones here. Let's see, maybe I should list some of these things from movewell.com with 2 O's, movewell.com. That's where I do my online product sales. And then richmondkettlebellclub.com, Richmond Kettlebell Club. Anyway, there's my plugs. So never remember to put those in there, say that. So anyway, those are some spots, and some of that's, well, all of that should be down in the notes there below. So check it out there if you're interested. But on to the goods for the day. Let's see. Let's just start off with some chair stretches. I do these with a lot of the older people. It's just an easy way to get them doing something. You know, if you are sitting, you can at least use the chair to get some stuff done, or to spend a minute trying to get a little looser. So for a lot of them, I'll just have them lean over towards the floor, just try and get over to the floor, and we hang out down here a little bit. And I say this for the olders, but really, it's good for everybody, really. Try it, you'll see. Then we'll do a little turn. We'll sort of look like we were looking over ones, you know, around the side one way. You know, and we'll spend more time than I'm doing here, and then back the other way. But all this down there, coming up, and then we sort of do the same turning up here, coming one way, you know, back the other way. And then, of course, the big one on a lot of people is this, just being able to take this leg across and fold over this, twist into the hip a little bit. So each right here. So these are our basic chair stretches. And then of course, like to stand up and counter that with a quick, where I'll grab here and sort of push through my hips a little. Right there. So there you go, some chair stretches. Enjoy. All right, let's get on to some things here. What do we got going on? My knee. It's been a thing. I tell you, at 50, things don't change as fast as they used to, and they last a lot longer. I guess it's kind of the same, but anyway, this knee, kind of tweaked it. Playing disc golf last week, believe it or not, on a drive. Foot stuck, spun over top. You know, wasn't terrible, but yeah, I mean, definitely felt it right away, and finished out the round. I think that was the 10th hole. Finished out the round okay, but I tell you, it was today before I felt like I could deep squat, you know, down to the bottom and holding on to something and just drop down into the bottom, which is 5 days later. 5 days later. Before I could get into the bottom of a squat, 6 days later. And that's every day, working on, you know, trying to work my way down, you know, just trying to loosen up the muscles around a little bit, just so they don't get too sticky, you know, or not willing to bend. So, you know, just saying that so that we know that these things take a little bit of time sometimes. So, I'm in pretty good shape, and it took me 5 days to get that back, and that was just from a disc golf twist. So yeah, these things happen. And then my arm, boy, I tell you, they keep coming. You know, my arm, I did a lot of raking, building a planter box in the backyard, and had to chew up some ground. That combined with lots of guitar playing, and then banging it on a post at my in-laws farm in the barn. Between those 3 things, it's been trouble getting that back just straight out. It's been swollen in the joint here and a little uncomfortable, and there's sort of a chain you can feel all the way down. And every day I'm working on getting this back, you know, working through the pattern that I feel lengthens the whole chain all the way up, which for me really is out here. So, and then massaging these, trying to make some room in these to get them back. But you know, it if you didn't know to do these things, I see where people have trouble. I say it all the time. If you're not on these things, they can easily end up here forever versus being able to get it back straight, right? So a couple days ago, it was hard to get out to here. So, you know, and that's just taking my time. I know it's going to take time. You know, you can't push these things, inflammation, you know, like picking a scab. You can't pick the scab off and expect it to heal. So got to wait and keep going, but you got to be diligent and you got to stay on it. And, you know, like I said, I'm in pretty good shape and these things still take a while. So just letting you know, you got to be patient and give it some time. It's best to try and avoid these if possible, but it happens. Let's see, the next one that came up, what was it? Practice makes permanent. So I say to people all the time, you know, what does practice make? And people say practice makes perfect, but that would imply you're doing it perfectly. Perfect practice makes perfect. No, that means you already know how to do it. So practice makes permanent. And what that means is whatever it is you're practicing, if it's good stuff, you'll get permanently better at that. And if it's not so good stuff, you'll get better at that too. So practice makes permanent when you're practicing your drills and doing your sessions and your practice on your own. Pay attention to the details because, you know, it becomes permanent. If you're cutting corners, it's going to be a part of your makeup. In time, it's going to become a part of your makeup. So I got that from when I did my HKC certification years back at Karen Smith's place down in Virginia Beach. She had Dave Whitley, the Iron Tamer, there. And he was the master instructor for that event. And he used that one there, and I've always remembered that one. It's a good one. Let's see, the next one on here. We have, we don't need heavy, we just need heavy. What does that mean? I talked about the sweet spot in buying the kettlebells, I think a few episodes back, and you know, you need something heavy enough that you learn and you feel it, but you don't need it to be so heavy that it makes you move wrong, right? So too light, you can move wrong or sloppy. Too heavy, you can move sloppy. So we need stuff to be heavy, and that's usually heavier than most people think when they think of what size kettlebells they should be using. Most people tend to go pretty light, and there is a danger in going too light with kettlebells as well. And that's back to that practice makes permanent thing. So you just need to be heavy enough. It's kind of a sweet spot, you know, the Goldilocks spot. So yeah, I can't tell everybody exactly what that is for them. There's an episode a few back where I go over some of that, but you're just going to have to experiment a little bit. But it tends to be a little heavier than you might think, but for the guys, don't go too heavy. Guys tend to go a little bit too heavy. Don't do that. Ladies tend to go a little too light. Don't do that. So anyway, enough on that. Let's see. The next one, I'm just going to bust through a bunch of these here today. Cats need cow, cows need cat. So that cat-cow thing in yoga, can you see in here? Yeah, if I'm up and down here, if I do it standing, it would be here, right? Cat-cow, right? So it's essentially, you know, cat, cow, back and forth. So what I'm referring to there is the people that tend to be really rounded need to practice extending, and those that overextend need to practice sitting back into here more. Why would you want to sit back into here more? Well, because when you're hollowing, I mean, it's not really hollowing, but bracing here in the middle. Hollowing is actually the wrong word. That's the word I hear a lot that I always have to correct. Bracing here in the middle, so that you're going to get hit. Bracing is going to mean you're going to have to come in a little bit like a gymnast on the rings. Right, a little bit, right? But we don't want to keep coming in here, right? So the cows, the people that are here need some cat, and the cats need some cow. Essentially, you're just trying to find that neutral spot in the middle, right? So that's what that one was all about. And then the last one was don't live in your sport posture. Sports by nature tend to shape us slightly differently than we might normally be, and they skew us towards what's going to be best for that particular sport. So all that's referring to is if your sport takes you away from square, plumb, and neutral, that in the off season, it's a good idea to practice trying to get back to square, plumb, and neutral, not live in your sport posture. Climbers, for instance, I do some rock climbing. You tend to see a lot of rock climbers that are drawn in here a little bit from pulling so much, from pulling on the rock. It tends to see really strong up under through there. So we got to get them out of that, pulled through the lats, through the armpits, through the thoracic part of their spine, the middle part of your back here. Get back to square, plumb, and neutral as much as they can, or at least their training should be involved, or should involve a lot of that, and or off season, which with climbing gyms there may not be much of an off season. But anyway, that's good for episode 7. We'll see you next time.